Hello everybody, this is Purge, bringing you guys a first-person replay commentary. This is going to be a Phoenix game that I played about a week ago, and I'll go over everything that I know about the hero and tips about him, and yeah, everything that is to know about Phoenix. He's been in the game for quite a while, probably at least 2 to 3 years, but he was just ported into Dota 2 as of this last week with a new patch with Terrorblade. And I've only played about 4 games of him in Dota 2, but in terms of Dota 1, I played him like, I don't know, maybe less than 10 times, but enough where I felt like I got a good gist of the hero. He's actually been changed since then, so he's a little bit less bursty than he was in the past. He's a lot more damage over time now, and this affects his gameplay in a couple different ways. But largely, he's generally the same kind of hero. His skills are approximately the same, and the interactions between the skills are all approximately the same as they used to be in the past as well. So. His first skill is the Icarus Dive. It's basically something that allows you to position yourself really effectively. You can go places, and you can also retreat very easily using it. The main issue with his first ability is that the cooldown is like really long. It's like 30-some seconds. He has really high cooldowns for his abilities, and the reason for this is because he's really hard to kill in most situations, at least. What the dive does is, in the past it used to disarm you, which is what Deafening Blast does, Invoker's Deafening Blast. Now it doesn't do that anymore, it just does a slow and some damage over time. But in the past it did burst damage, and it also did a disarm for a period of time. So here's the skill, Icarus Dive. It flies you somewhere, and yeah, it does a huge dive length of 1400. It does damage over time, and it does a 25% movement speed slow. It also costs HP to cast this, by the way. It doesn't cost any mana, but it does cost HP. So you have to keep that in mind. All of his abilities do cost HP to use, except for his ulti. So it sounds a little counterintuitive, like, oh, obviously you're going to die a lot if it costs you a lot of HP, but this isn't necessarily the case. His second skill is called Fire Spirits. This is arguably his best skill, in my opinion. In the past, you used to create spirits around you, and they would, over time, charge up and become stronger, and then you could target them on heroes or allies, and they would do magic damage to your opponents and heals to your allies in an AoE. So you could actually burst heal your allies while doing damage in the past, but this is a little too strong, because around level 7, you could basically gank a lane and dive on like a huge range. It's 1400 range. It's like more than your screen. You could dive a huge range, do like 200 damage with your Icarus Dive, and then you could also do Fire Spirits immediately afterwards for like, it was like 600 magic damage with a huge range, and even if you got into trouble, you could ulti, which keeps you fairly alive. So he was a little too overpowered. Now it does all damage over time, or at least the first 2 skills do. So Icarus Dive does damage over time. The Fire Spirits now do damage over time, and you can't target them on people anymore. You actually have to target the ground. So it's more like a skill shot now. So basically, and they don't charge up anymore, so you can cast them immediately, but there's a duration where you have to use them. If you don't, then nothing happens. But basically, you target the ground, they shoot out quite slowly, they hit the ground, and they do a little explosion. And if your opponents are in the explosion, they'll take damage over time, but most importantly, their attack speed is going to be reduced by a ridiculous amount. And that goes up to 140 attack speed slow possibility, 80 at the first level, but yeah, the skill is very good. The cooldown is very high in this as well, 45 seconds down to 30, but the mana cost isn't too bad. It does cost you 15% of your HP to use it, but if you're playing effectively, then this isn't going to be a really big issue. So I think this game I actually played support Phoenix. I almost went off lane, but I think then we ended up grabbing Timbersaw and putting him off lane. You can play Phoenix in either the off lane, the mid, or the support roles, in my opinion. I think he's pretty okay at support, and he's quite good at off lane. His third skill is called Sunray. This basically, I don't use it very much this game, I think, and I don't really feel very comfortable with the skill just yet, but it does have its uses. You basically, from range, shoot out a big ray. It shoots about this far, and once you activate it, you kind of turn into a car. And by that I mean that the only way to move is forward, and you can turn while you're going forward. It's like a vehicle. You can't go backwards. So once you turn it on, the ray comes out. It costs you HP over time, and it does damage over time. And if your allies are within the beam, they get healed for a small amount of HP over time. So basically, you activate the ability to run forward, and then you can choose to stop going forward, and while you're going forward, you can also turn the beam, and when you're stationary. So it's a little difficult to use constantly, but it is a very good nuke over time from range. So that's the 3 basic abilities. The ulti, the way it works is, if you are scared, or if you need a full heal, or you want to use a refresher orb, it basically resets your cooldowns. You can activate the supernova ability, which basically turns yourself into an egg, and while the egg is going on, you do a massive AoE damage. A radius is 1,000, so that's like pretty much the whole screen. It does damage over time, and as the egg hits the ground, which is like a 6-second delay, it'll resummon you, basically, at full HP, full cooldowns, except for supernova, and it'll also do a big stun of 1.5, 2, and 2.5 seconds. So it does a ton of damage during that 6 seconds. It has the potential to do a bunch of damage, and it's very strong, honestly. So you basically use it when you're about to die. Now, people can kill you while you do the Supernova. It just comes down to physical attacks. You're immune to magic when you do use Supernova, but if your opponents with their heroes attack you 5, 7, or 10 times, then your egg will die and you will die as a hero. So basically, with these abilities together, I think Dive, Fire Spirits, and Supernova are the best skills. But basically what you can do is you could play really aggressive with dives and nukes, and then if you're about to die, you can use Supernova. And that'll give you full heals, and then hopefully you can fight longer after that. So right now, I'm mostly just playing a support role and like being aggressive and trying to make sure the Beastmaster doesn't get too much EXP. The problem is I have 0 armor right now. So I will take quite a bit of damage from his axes and his right clicks, so I'm mostly just trying to make sure he doesn't get any last hits for now. But I will be maxing out the dive as well as the fire spirit skills, so once I hit level 2 I'll pick up both abilities. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to accidentally need either one of these previously, which is why I didn't skill it. But now if I want to, I can use the fire spirits to harass. I also put a sentry here because this is one of my favorite spots to block the ancients, because I figured Beastmasters in the off lanes very often will stack the ancients, so I just wanted to make sure that I could do that. I don't know if he actually stacked here. I don't think he stacked it all this game, but it's definitely a possibility that I can do if needed. So for now, we're just kind of pulling. Centaur ended up taking some of my pulls here, which means that I won't be able to get as much EXP or gold, which is fine. But yeah, I don't really need to spend my mana that much. I could spend it. I have HP regen and I have mana regen, but for now I'm just going to try to continuously harass the Beastmaster. So the scaling for some of these abilities, to keep you aware of it, the Fire Spirit's more than double in damage between level 1 and level 2, so I like to go a 1-2-2 build. Oh, the first game I played, I tried like a 1-4-4 build, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. In this game, I think I went to 4-4-0 build. So I started off with max Icarus Dive and max Fire Spirits. It may not be worth it to do that. I think maybe only grabbing 2 points of Icarus Dive might be worth it, maybe 3, because at that point the damage doesn't scale that much higher and the cooldown doesn't change or anything, so it might be better to just do 2 Icarus Dive and then 4 Fire Spirits and then max Sunray, but I'm not entirely sure about this yet. I also don't feel very strong with Sunray, and I don't completely always know when to use it at the right time, so I'm not entirely sure how to do this best. So right now if I wanted to, I could use the Fire Spirits to harass. I'm sure I'll use them eventually, but for now I'm just playing typical support, which is contest offlane and deny if possible.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So gonna continue pulling here. A bit of a bad pull. This is actually not the worst thing in the world. This camp is pretty strong at killing creeps, so the melee creep as well as the range creep will die to this. And this is going to actually push the wave back, so it's not the worst pull if you only get like 1 or 2 creeps. It doesn't give me as much experience personally, but I'll have that at least. And as you can see, it did die. It didn't kill any of the neutral camps, so I can pull it again here. A couple of Phoenix's counters that I encountered on the stream the other day. I picked very, very fast, and people are now understanding the counters. But the best counters are basically silences. I can't dive if I'm silenced. I can't ulti if I'm silenced. I can't activate my Fire Spirits if I'm silenced. And all I am is a low armor hero that has a bunch of nukes. So it's kind of a pain in the butt if you do end up getting silenced. He did get that last hit there. But I will get the pick, I think. Nope, didn't get the pick. I got the EXP at least. But he messed up my pull. Well done by him. I promise eventually something happens this game, guys. We already have Flying Courier. I'm going to go pick up Boots in a moment. His base damage is actually pretty good. His strength gain is really high at 2.9. So feel free to buy sometimes Treads. Some people will argue about what they think the best boots to get on Phoenix are. I've tried both Tranquils and Treads, and I personally think Treads are a bit better.
Dire's middle tower
This is down to preference, of course. I'm sure some people are going to disagree with me and say Tranquils is the best way by far to go, but I'm not a huge fan of them. The reason Tranquils are nice is because as you are not attacking, we're pushing right now, by the way, so there's this Fire Spirits. I sent one out. It's going to do damage over time to the creeps. And it only does, it lasts for 4 seconds, so if I want to continuously put these on somebody, I have to make sure that I reapply it every 4 seconds. My 4th spirit was almost gone there, so I thought I'd throw it out, and I got lucky and ended up hitting the Brewmaster. So. We saw the next assassin approaching, and there we go. I was able to spot him.
Has fallen.
So I did the dive so that I could slow him in a little bit of damage. I was worried about where he might be, so I decided to play it really safe and back up far. And we're not going to be able to kill him, but it still worked out okay for us.
Tower is under attack.
Saw a line was still approaching, so I thought I'd try to apply on him. I actually ended up missing. And yeah, after this cooldown is down, they're gone, and then you lose them. So I'm just aiming to see if I can hit the Brewmaster, or the Beastmaster that is. I ended up getting with a 1, so that'll do 35 damage over 4 seconds, which is 140 damage, which is okay. It's actually, pretty much every spirit is about equivalent to an average nuke, about 300. So if you can actually get all 4 spirits on a guy during a duration, you're talking about 1200 damage, which is really big. You have to max this skill first, I think. Unless you want to do some like cheesy Sunray build and you have some like combo you're doing with it, like you have to do fire spirits first, I think. It's too much damage to pass up. It's difficult to land on a lot of people, but it's just really useful. So typical items here, boots and a magic stick. Let me talk about Tranquil Boots a little bit more. Another really nice thing about Tranquil Boots is that they do apply 4 armor to yourself, so since you have 0 armor, this gives you a lot of survivability. But if you're in combat, then the Tranquil Boots don't actually do very much for you. It's mostly out of combat survival, so if you're out of combat, you're going to hit full HP again. But I don't really think that's the most useful thing in the world since I'm playing Phoenix. I mean, I already have an ulti that's going to heal me to full, so I kind of felt like if you're playing aggressive and you're winning, that Tranquil Boots don't really feel very useful. Maybe if you're in the off lane, getting a fast Tranquil Boots will allow you to basically continuously cast more, you can use dive more, you can use fire spirits more, and not have to worry about the HP cost, but I don't know, I just am not a huge fan of the Tranquil Boots. I think it's definitely situational, but in most situations, I think Field Treads is really good. You have a big strength gain, so your damage is high, and it's going to keep getting better. If you grab Treads, you can attack a lot with that, and I think the right click is pretty powerful. So I put another sentry over there in case he pulled. He actually never pulled this whole game, so kind of a waste of a sentry, but oh well, I didn't know that. So I bought more sentries just in case. And we also have a sentry in the lane now, which is really important because we're up against a Nyx Assassin. So I think I have items coming. Okay, Observer Words. Yeah, I'm playing full support here. Looks like they end up getting a kill top. Put a ward down. I'm going to check to see if I can help. And it kind of looks like I could. I think I TP'd for this. Yeah, I did. Yeah, he's going to get that kill. So I just did the dive through to try to get here a little faster. I ended up applying the slow. I'm also applying the spirits as fast as possible. As you can see, it took him forever to hit the bristleback there. And that was because I did all the attack speed slow. So now we have to be a little careful. I was really worried that he was going to duel me. I was probably a little too worried, but... And now I'll pick up Treads here. It's actually a Viper. I don't have any cooldowns, so other than my ulti. But I think we should be able to dive this, especially because my cooldowns are almost up. I messed up pretty bad here. I tried supernovaing, but I misclicked, I think. So I died first actually, but we did kill Viper. It's still worth it in the end, but I easily could have lived there by using my supernova. But I think I misclicked. My hand must have been off on my keyboard or something. But I remember watching the attack coming out and pressing V, and I missed it or something. I'm not sure. So I shouldn't have died there though. If things went well, I would have supernovaed right here. It would have done like maybe 100 damage tops because he would have ran out of the radius, and then I would have resummoned, I would have cooldowns, and then I could have escaped after that. But regardless, getting 3 kills like this, like you guys should be able to see what my offensive potential was like there. Like I was a level 4 hero, and I did a huge initiation range, and was able to do some AoE damage. Obviously, they'd used a lot of their abilities already on the bristleback, but just being able to dive in that far and start contributing and doing a lot of nuke damage was pretty impressive. Because even at level 40, like I said, it did 140 damage times 4 in an AoE, which means I can do like almost 600 damage to 2 heroes, assuming they're grouped up together. And just the attack speed slow alone was massive and helped keep my ally alive. So maybe it was very situational, but I really think the power and the range of Phoenix is really high. And now that I'm level 6, I'm pretty much I'm not even playing support anymore. I can play super, super aggressive, and that's my favorite kind of playstyle. So to talk about counters once again for a second, the game I played the other day, yesterday on stream I think, I played Phoenix versus a Skywrath Mage. I wasn't mid, I was actually offlane, and I ended up feeding a little bit in the offlane, so it's partially my mistakes. But Skywrath Mage is really good against Phoenix because he basically prevents me from ulting at a massive range. The cast range on Ancient Seal, or the cast animation is instant. So you can basically cast Ancient Seal immediately, he'll silence me, and then he'll just combo me and I'll die, and I'll have no way to escape from it. So that was pretty frustrating. So if you ever want to counter this hero, just get some ranged silences. I played against, what is an Earth Spirit, and he has a silence, and I was playing against a Skywrath Mage who has a silence, and I was also playing against an Omni Knight, and the Omni Knight's actually pretty good as well because he can repel off the damage, and since it's all damage over time, if I cast everything on one guy, he can just get repelled, and it's really hard for me to catch him. So I'm going to reduce his attack speed here. Missed the line here. If you're worried about dying, make sure that you reduce their attack speed before you transform. They maybe didn't organize super well there, but was able to hit 2 there. Yeah, they did actually stop my my dive just there. I'm able to salve away over here. Stupid Knowles actually messed it up. Basically, my HP got kind of low. I ended up using the Supernova to stay alive, and my allies were able to cover for me, which was really nice. Probably not going to be able to contribute to that, yeah. Spirits are pretty hard to catch up that far of range.
Bottom tower is under attack.
But the treads ended up being useful here. And I'm just going to TP back because I don't feel safe. So, like I said, I'm playing pretty aggressive this game and I'm quite ahead, so I felt like going for max dive, max fire spirits. Again, you may want to leave Icarus dive at lower levels because it's a little hard to hit everybody on the enemy team with it, but it's definitely still possible. My mana pool is okay, but it's not that amazing. The int gain is not very good. That's a pretty low int gain of 1.8, so you may need some mana if you end up doing anything other than just your basic skills. So if I want to use Sunray more often, this drains your mana, then I might want to get a Soul Ring or a Drum or something like that. If I am getting a Mechanism or something like that, then I'm going to definitely want a bit more int, whether that's a Drum or some other item. But basically, those are all pretty good. Yeah, you hit pretty hard. I mean, I'm hitting for 79 at this point. I'm a ranged hero. I really like Treads, honestly. I think Treads is probably the way to go. So I ended up buying a Vitality Booster next. The reason I purchased this is because having more HP is always really good on Phoenix. Again, his armor is very low, but if you can stay alive longer, especially against largely magic nukers, this is definitely the way to go. His big weakness is silences and physical damage, basically. So if you're against magic nukes, just tanking up is really good for you. So I'll probably pick up some Sunray levels soon. I don't think I used it very well this game, if I remember correctly, but it definitely is something you can use if you want to. Yeah, anyways, make sure before you Supernova that you do use a Fire Spirit on somebody, because if their attack speed is heavily reduced, then it's very unlikely they're going to be able to hit you 5 times. And since there's a Viper sitting over here, I'm just going to try to put some fire on him. I ended up missing him here. It's pretty difficult, actually. I got him that time. You kind of just have to predict where his positioning is going to be. It's actually not the best to hit him with it, because it's going to proc Corrosive Skin on me, like, a bunch of times. That was really close. I had to transform here, because I was likely going to die. Luckily, the Terrorblade was here. If this Terrorblade wasn't here, I would have died, for sure. Because they could have just turned and right-clicked me. I don't think I had very many Fire Spirits on them, but the fact that he was there right-clicking meant that they tried to run away, and we still got the Legion Commander. I was luckily able to also finish the duel before I got... or I was able to start the dive as I got dueled, so I was able to escape or at least like delay for a second and a half. Oh, I didn't explain this clearly, but you can actually stop the dive at any position that you want. So I couldn't do it there because I was stunned. Basically, I was issuing an attack command and I couldn't do anything else because of the duel. But in most circumstances, you can choose where to end the dive. I did it up here. You just press the hotkey for dive, and for me it's D. So I'll press D, click where I want to go, and then I just have to press D again to stop it. So now we're just going to try to be annoying here. I felt like going aggressive to catch somebody. I did end up catching the Viper with damage. You can cast an attack while you're flying through the dive, by the way. You can use items, doesn't really matter. And I'm just, again, trying to like keep them a little far back. My spirits were going to run out anyway, so I might as well throw them. But now that I'm level 11, the attacks to destroy my Supernova are a lot higher. It's up to 7 now. And it does more damage than the stun duration. But mostly the thing you want to increase is the attacks to destroy. Yeah, this is really all you need for items, honestly. Like, I think Treads and like a Vitality Booster, a little bit more HP is plenty. I don't know how much gold we're ahead. We're actually ahead by a huge gold margin, but it's maybe not the best example of a close game, but I think I've played the hero fairly well. At least this game. I'm going for Rod of Atos this game. Again, you don't really need the mana that bad, but the extra mana isn't horrible. Rod of Atos I think is a good item. It'll keep people from moving, so I'll be able to land the spirits a bit easier. And it also helps us chase and secure kills while we're going for racks and diving and stuff like that. I'm now just going to try to put the fire spirits on a couple guys if possible. I hit 2 heroes here. Again, applying the buff, or the debuff on Legion Commander. And just kind of looking for a moment to go in. Oh, this next was actually, we didn't have sentry for this. I'm not sure if he ends up winning, but yeah, he did. That was smart. So we lost the courier. One of my favorite items to get on Phoenix is actually Shivas. I did this in Dota 1 a couple times. But basically what you do is you pick up Shivas, it covers your armor hole. It'll give you a ridiculous amount of mana, enough that you'll never have to worry about Sunray. Oops, looks like we're dodging shade. That's a nice stun. I just wanted to apply the slow on everybody, and then I'm gonna use my ulti immediately afterwards. Worked out pretty well. If I would have gotten stunned, actually, it would have really been rough for me. Again, I put the slow on everybody, and the damage over time. Ended up working out okay. But yeah, I put the dive slow on everybody, I did the damage, and then I ended up retreating using Supernova. You never want to use it right in the middle of their whole team, unless you're like in a really do or die situation. You have to be pretty careful with it. So there's the Sunray, finally using it there. It's healing my allies, doing damage to them. Then I forgot how to cancel it. You just like recast the same hotkey. So I have to run away so I don't get dueled, and I'm gonna get dueled, so really easy death. Why did that say 2-2-2 victories? That was weird. But yeah, Sunray scales in damage. It does more damage based on your max HP. So if you build a lot of HP items on Phoenix, your Sunray does more damage and also heals. So. It only does 6 seconds duration. I thought it. I thought you could keep it on longer than that. It does cost you HP over time as you use it, so keep that in mind. It'll cost you mana as well as HP to use. It used to cost you like mana over time and HP over time, but it must have gotten slightly changed here. Again, this is like one of the first few times I played Phoenix, so. Again, gonna pick up some support items. I've got Rod of Atos now. This gives me an extra, it's been buffed. It gives you an extra 100 HP actually to finish a Rod of Atos, so it's even stronger. But I'll probably use this against like Legion Commander or somebody like that. Yeah, the way Shiva's works really well is you use the Shiva's explosion. As it's expanding, then you dive. And what basically happens is the center stays on your hero. So as you're like passing through their whole team, you bring this big like blue circle, and you basically hit everybody on their team with the Shiva's guard, which is really effective because you're basically doing a 200 magic nuke that'll slow by 40% for 4 seconds. You can hit their whole team with that. It's really, really good. To be a little worried about dying here. I'm gonna get roared as well. Put all my fire spirits out. Put some slow on that guy as well. And then I'm just gonna ulti here. His chances of killing me are very low because I already put the fire spirits on him. So he's gonna escape the range. I'm gonna find him, and now I'm just gonna start going for right clicks. I actually missed the first fire spirit. And a little bit of Atos as well, and I'll just sit back and like there's very little chance of him being able to kill me. He already roared me. He used the axes, and as well as I can apply at least like 2 to 3 durations of fire spirits, I'll easily get a damage advantage over him, which is what I did. And then I used Atos as well so that he couldn't move. That was largely just a function of me being ahead, but yeah, the hero has huge potential, he really does. I think he's really fun to play. But yeah, silences definitely shut him down pretty hard, so especially if you're playing a support role, if you're not able to get like a BKB, which is very unlikely, then this hero can definitely be very, very hard countered. So you have to be very careful. But it's really fun how aggressive you can play him, especially against these guys. Actually, they have a pretty easy way to counter me. You know what would be really good is Nyx Assassin, his armor. If he uses the armor as I dive through him, the stun will interrupt my dive. So if you're diving and you get stunned, your dive will be interrupted. So if he would have used like his armor, it would have stopped my dive, and then they could go on me before I ulti. That would have been good. So there's a couple counters. Like if you stun him while he's diving, it's good. If Lion activates Hex on me, and starts walking towards me, and then I dive, he'll hex me in midair, and then they can kill me. So there's a couple different outplays and things that you can do against Phoenix. But I think he's still pretty new to the point where people aren't effectively playing against him. Like, these guys could have played a lot better against me, in my opinion, but they didn't really do it very well. So they actually have decent counters on their team, but they didn't do it super well. Same goes with Beastmaster. If he's predicting my dive, he can use Roar as I'm diving, and it'll stop me. So the trick, of course, is that they have to blow me up during that stun duration, or I'll just ulti. So they have to be pretty careful. It's definitely a hero you kind of have to focus on and teamwork down, but people get a lot better against him in the next couple of days.
Dire's top barracks has fallen. Dire's bottom barracks has fallen.
See, like right there, I just got stunned.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Stop the dive a little late. Really nice Ravage. I was the one that actually got ultied. And then I was worried about dying, so I just supernovaed. So there we go. Got my cooldowns. Got my abilities back. All gonna be okay. So yeah, this is a really quick run through of his hero basics and his mechanics. Obviously this game was very, very stompy, but I thought it was a good demonstration of how aggressive you can be and like how effective his abilities are. Again, try to land the fire spirits before you ulti. Use the dive aggressively only when you feel very safe and when you have your ulti up, and then obviously if you're about to die, you can ulti, or after you land your fire spirits you can do it for the damage basically. So I'm just trying to heal my allies here a bit here. As you can see, it's actually doing really good damage. So yeah, if your opponents are clumped up in a ball fighting each other to the death, definitely Sunray them, because you'll heal your allies and do damage to them. Yeah, there's some more synergy that you can do with Phoenix, like Chronosphere with Phoenix ulti is really good, for example. Any big ulti stun like Ravage or Black Hole with the Phoenix ulti is really good, because it does do a lot of damage, and by the time those end you'll probably land the Phoenix stun anyway. So there's a lot of combos you can do with your hero. Again, you can play him off lane, you can play him support, you can play him mid. Try not to focus too much on mana items and go for like a fast Shivas or Rod of Atos or a lot of HP. Maybe even like a pipe would be kind of good as well. I'm not sure, but I think that's it for the hero. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll have a Terrorblade video out soon, I think, and maybe some more Phoenix games in the future, something that's a little bit higher duration and more fun to watch. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye.